don't just want to pray for you. I want to pray with you. I want to go through life with you, experience the pain, experience the troubles, and I want to bring what I've got to the table to help you and make life better. What's going on, everybody? Today we are talking about kindness, so let's dive right in. Welcome back, everybody. My name is AP Raleigh, author of Abide, and I make Christian content to help both you and me grow in our faith together. So we're talking about kindness today. What the heck is that? And I wanted to start off just by giving this example of the moment when I wish people would be kind, and you tell them something deep or something difficult, and I'll pray for you is so much better than, well, okay. Or just some other nonchalant, I was a little bit of an overshare, I guess I'll just move on with the rest of my day. I want to have this level of kindness, and that doesn't just come with, this is something I've been trying to do because it's awkward, but I'm trying to do this thing where people ask, hey, can you pray for me for this? And instead of going, yeah, sure, I'll be praying for you, and then completely forget, as I will, I want to sit right down there and start praying with them, because that is this genuine kindness that they're really looking for. And so what the heck is kindness? And why is that such a big deal? Well, we are back in Galatians 5, talking about the fruit of the Spirit in verse 23 and 24. And when we're talking kindness, we are looking for, most of us want to say that that's just being nice to other people, and that's more than enough. It's God's the fruit of the Spirit in me is the fact that you're rude, and I'm just gonna say, well, when God closes a door, He opens a window, and that's not really kindness. That's cliche, and that's what I want to back off from, and remember that kindness isn't just being nice to people. That's our basic level, yeah, sure. But the word that they go into on this bad boy is not a normal word for kindness. It's not just this little bit. It can also be translated as useful kindness, which sounds really redundant because obviously when you look at a definition, you don't want to say the same thing twice, except we're translating from another language here. Useful kindness is the definition that we're looking for, and that being specifically in this case, in God's way, in His time. But when the Holy Spirit is giving us this exact kindness to go off of, to work with, we don't just end up seeing some surface level cliche God. There's no, it'll work itself out and everything's okay. No, it's actual usefulness, and it doesn't have anything to do with human depravity, human issues, and the problems that we face on a day-to-day basis that end up taking what we intend as kindness and making it into something rough. And this is something that I am beyond confused about with God, but I love it. It's the thing that keeps me coming back to God. I know I've shared enough of my life that it's pretty obvious why I follow God and why I keep going, and darn if He isn't there with me through every nasty battle, but there are often these struggles that come up that absolutely derail us. And why do I keep coming back to God? It's because He's giving me the answer that I'm actually looking for. And I don't mean this was the one I wanted, because oftentimes I want the nice, easy answer, and I'm just not going to get I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. But this is that nasty, hard truth with absolutely zero cliche that someone half the time and more often than not just sitting with you through the grime, it's genuine kindness because it's useful. It's not something that I walk away from going, oh, they were a nice person. I walk away going, I feel like a better person just because I was around them. And that's what I get with God. So what does that look like? Because pretty simple to understand. But then there's this little caveat of God's timing and God's way. And what's up with that? Because when I'm dealing with something nasty and difficult, say I'm broke as a joke, well, God, the obvious fix, the useful kindness, since you've got access to everything, would be to drop $1 million in my pocket. That would be useful kindness in my books. When He's got such a larger perspective, and this is where so much frustration I've found comes in, and so much pain and so much problem, is we immediately jump to this narrative that I have the right answer, that I know why I'm going through this circumstance, and I. There's a lot of I in there. There's very little God involved. And the thought being here is you have access to an infinite God with infinite knowledge. Maybe use it. Just my own personal caveat on the matter is we don't want to use that. And so instead of, we get sick and the immediate response is, God, you should just take this away. You should just fix it. And you know what? Sometimes it's not that there's no place for that, and there definitely is. But we never stop to ask why we're going through this 9 out of 10 times. It's just, God, I'm going through a difficult circumstance, and if you were kind to me, if you're going to give me this kindness, you should fix it, and you're not. So are you even God? And we push all the way through half the time to questioning who God is altogether. Now, there's been a lot of points as well where we want to just ditch the kindness altogether because we think, okay, God, I'm bringing this issue to you. I'm telling you I'm sick. You haven't fixed it. So, okay, now let's just cut kindness altogether out of the entire scenario and shoot right on over to, condemnation and shame and guilt. And those aren't involved either. There's been so many points, and I'm amazed, where I'm talking to God, I'm praying, and I'm going, I'm doing something that's not okay, that's messed up, that's wrong. I need to stop, and I need you to help me with that. And he's literally just gone 180 in some other direction because there's something else I need to figure out before we get there. We're not there yet. And it's not that thing is okay. It's that he's giving me time and allowing me to exist before jumping into that issue, before trying to solve everything. It's literally the advice that I think, every therapist I've ever talked to has said of, just don't jump in and try to fix people. Don't do that. Give them a minute to process, allow them to have their feelings, allow them to have their emotions, sit with them through that. If you really want to help someone, you really want to be kind to them, you're not going to be taking them out of that moment. You're not going to just come in and wreck everything because you're the one with the answer. No, you're going to allow them and guide them through it potentially if they give you that permission. And God does that more often than not. It's not that he doesn't have the answer. It's half the time he's just waiting for your permission to do it. And we want to think that the usefulness is the problem, or is the solution that we've thought up. Oftentimes, God's solution isn't something that we want to see. There are so many instances where I have told God what to do because obviously I'm more intelligent. I can't even say that with a straight face. But God has come at this from some sideways angle that doesn't make any clear sense to me. Stuff like being in India dying on the floor. And I'm sitting there going, God, why won't you heal me? And he's going, because this is the only way I could get through to you. And moreover, I asked before we started if you wanted the hard way or the easy way, and you said the fast one. Okay, maybe he's not quite as aggressive as me, but that's been the case. Is what I really did not need was something to pull me out of that moment, something to take me out of that pain. What I needed to do was learn how to endure it, to work through it, which then on the flip side allowed me to teach and help hundreds of people at this point. The amount of effect that I've been able to have because of that is insurmountable. Why did I go through it? Why didn't God just, he asked. So the kindness in some of these scenarios looked a lot more like pain. But it wasn't pain alone. It was pain for a purpose that was then usable. And that's been some of my greatest joy, and I wouldn't take those moments back for the world. So as you're sitting thinking about kindness, this is something that we have the ability to replicate, not just because we have the fruit of the Spirit and boom, it's yours, kid, have at it. This is something that we regularly watch how God interacts with others. Regularly. Because this is kind of his MO, just right off the bat, is useful kindness. So I want to challenge you guys to do the exact same thing I've been challenging myself for a while, and I'm coming back around to it because I realized I was getting really good at it, and then I started to drop off. And I want to see and hear about the difference that it makes when instead of saying, I'll pray for you, or I'll be praying for you, or I hope you feel better, Just sending good vibes your way. And, what if we sat down and actually prayed with people like we meant it? What if we endured their issues with them? Because in the Bible, it does talk about bearing one another's burdens. Now, that bearing, it doesn't mean fixing, it doesn't mean wiping it off the planet. It just means we're doing life together. And this is something that I'm so encouraged about lately and yet find so difficult in the church and this isn't every church, of course, but it's many that I've been in, is this surface level Christianity. And what surface level Christianity misses is genuine kindness, and we've all got access to it. I want to see it happen because the times where it does are life-changing for everyone around me. You start seeing people, people that were on the verge of tears, and you say, "How's your day?" And they just can't look at you straight in the eyes. And so instead of walking on and continuing your day, because I got stuff to do, there's turkey in the oven, you know what? It can get a little overcooked. You can grab some McDonald's. It can do another. There's all kinds of other things. But this genuine, actual kindness puts so much value on human life, puts so much value on the people around us, the things that they're enduring. And there is no way to do that properly. I mean, you can get real close, but you can't properly 100% all in do this without having seen God do it first, because he's the only one that is so clear and obvious about this. You can be sitting there going, "God, I messed up 2 seconds ago and you must hate me now." And he's sitting there going, "Oh, nope, we're good." And you go, why aren't you going crazy? And it doesn't mean that there's no punishment. It doesn't mean that these things aren't there, but God's smart enough to actually make sure that if there's punishment, it actually includes kindness, because it's bringing you into a place of greater joy, happiness, and fulfillment. And so if we want to do the same thing, we can't come at people and just assault them with what we want and our way to do things. We need to start by going to where they're at, loving them where they're at, and showing them that. So, like I said, the most basic way we can do that is, just on those face-to-face interactions. No more surface. Try it for a week. See what happens, and I want to hear about it. Now, if you have not checked out my latest book, Abide, go ahead, check it out on Amazon. If you like this content, like and subscribe down below, and have an amazing Easter weekend.